Hey, friend, I'm Tammy Nobles, your faith driven growth strategist and visibility mentor. If you've been praying for clarity, tired of shrinking, and ready to show up in your God given assignment, this is your moment because you're in the right place. Welcome on into the tea room. Now, grab your tea, let's align your voice with your purpose and turn obedience into visibility. Come on, let's tap in. Let's go. Hey now, friends, welcome on in. I am Tammy R. Nobles, your faith driven success strategist, my friends. And today we're diving into a topic that every coach needs to know, my friends. And that is how to take your God given idea and turn it into a course outline that teaches, that transforms, and creates income and impact. So today we're going to walk through that space. And this is the very introductory module, which is all about building your foundation. Before you start, before you actually put the lights on and start recording, there's some foundational things that I want to go over with you so that you can record with clarity and also show up for your audience with clarity, with strategy, and with clear focus. So let's hop to it. First of all, my friends, I want you to clarify the problem that you solve. Clarify the problem that you solve. So, at the very beginning of this whole coaching space, you should know that you solve a problem. So, what problem does your coaching course solve? What problem does your course solve? And so, with asking you that question, I want you to fill in the blank, fill this in. My course helps who that is, your target audience, the specific person, go from, because you're helping them walk through a journey from one place to another, and then to the desired transformation. What is the yielded outcome that you planned for them to have? And you want to be clear about that, because when you're clear about what the journey looks like, then you have clarity on how you're going to help them get there. All right. So write that down and fill in the blank there. Okay. So once this sentence becomes clear to you, it is now the anchor of your course. So every lesson, every worksheet, every video, everything that you do connected to the course becomes connected to this one sentence. And this one sentence should be the very thing to move people closer to yielding results or solving the one problem that you've identified. Okay. So then, my friends, there are a couple of other clarifying questions I want you to ask. So write these down, because the word of God tells us to write the vision and make it plain. So write this down. Who is this course for? Who is this for? Who are you talking to? Be clear on that. Be clear about what do they need help with. What is it that I'm assisting them with? Get clarity. I promise this is going to save you a lot of headache and save you a lot of time from going back and forth and trying to figure it out, and frustration. Please ask me how I know. And then the last question, for clarity's sake, is what transformation will they walk away with? What transformation will they walk away with? Friends, I'm telling you, I know we're ready to hit the go button. I know we're ready to put the people in the classes, but take time to just create these small foundations, and I promise it's going to save you a lot of headache. All right. So, not only do you want to have some clarity about the problem that you solve, but you also want to pull in your pillars at this point. Now, listen, if you've been a part of the Tammy R. Nobles coaching certification, Resilient coaching certification called Destined to Thrive, you should already have your pillars. Now, if you don't, for whatever reason, or if you haven't been a part of that course, shameless plug, you can go to my website, find out more about it. And when the next course is starting, or the certification course is starting, or you could just set up your discovery call or your strategy call with me, and I'll tell you more about it. So, anyway, back, back to the issue at hand right here. So I want you to pull out those 3 to 5 pillars that we talked about during the course. And if, again, you don't have them, then there is a video to help you figure out how to identify your course pillars or your core pillars, because your core pillars are core to those are the core things that are at the root and holding up your actual coaching business. So this is why those pillars are important. And you're going to use them not just for building your course, but you're going to be using them throughout the time of you coaching. Okay, now, now let's structure your content. So you have the 3 to 5 pillars, right? So these 3 to 5 pillars are, what are the 3 to 5 big ideas or phrases that must go through for the transformation. That's why you have pillars. Your pillars are the things that help you clarify your process and define your framework. Okay, so here, think 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 of these like pillars or milestones. So they'll eventually become your modules. For example, my very own birth framework has 5 pillars: BIRTH. Mm-hmm. So my BIRTH, it's to that is the space, my friends. Hold on. Let me come over here because I want to put it on the screen for you so you can see. All right. Okay. So my BIRTH, it's where you boldly identify intentional strategy, resilient visibility, target impact, and heart-centered alignment. These are my pillars. This is my framework as to how I walk people through the process. And I use this to create courses, to create content, to create videos. This is not just a thing. It is the thing. It's the thing. Let me use my other quotes. It's the thing that helps me stay grounded and focused on the main thing, keeping the main thing the main thing. So, what are your pillars? Get your pillars out and arrange your pillars in such a way, excuse me, that it will help you get clarity for building your foundation for your course. So, each one builds on the next, and that's what you want to do. You want to have a logical transformational journey. So I want you to be mindful to keep it simple. Don't make it complicated, not for you and not for them. Because if you make it complicated for you, or if you dive in too deep or give too much, you're going to put the people on overload and overwhelm. Ask me how I know. So keep it simple. Don't overwhelm them. And then just ask yourself, when you write this down, what steps did I take to get where I am? What steps did I take? Because remember, where you're called from is where you're called to. So there was a journey, there was some things that happened for you in between. Or if it didn't happen to you, then what would I walk someone through if I was coaching them one on one? So if I was coaching somebody one on one, then the first thing I would tell them is that you have to reinvent, reset, or create your bold identity. Who do you identify for, right? Or with, or as? Because that's the first step of my pillar framework. That's the step work. This first step within my framework is bold identity. So that would be the first thing. So whatever your framework is, what's the first step? Then I want you to write down each step. Break number 3. Break each pillar into a lesson. So Bold identity is what we were talking about, right? So once you've got your pillars, it's time to fill in the framework. So you have your pillars, mine is birth. Now it's the framework. The first one is the bold identity, right? So under each pillar, you want to have 2 to 3 key lessons or topics, if you will. So let's just say one of your pillars is confidence to launch. So then your sub lessons could be identifying your genius zone, dealing with imposter syndrome, or sharing your story with power. All of that leads back to bold identity and identifying that you have the confidence to launch. And then under confidence to launch, it's identifying your genius zone, dealing with imposter syndrome, and sharing your story. So it's almost like the outline that you would write to, or you would create when you write a paper. Kind of old school. Roman numeral one would be birth, and then underneath that you would have A, right? Or in this instance, Roman numeral one would be confidence to launch. And then underneath that, you would have A, identifying your zone of genius, to B, dealing with imposter syndrome, and then C, sharing your story with power. I hope this is making sense and I have not confused you. What am I saying? I'm saying that you have to get clarity and write the vision and make it plain first before you create the systems, before you really outline, before you record. So this becomes your videos, your worksheets, or your modules, however you are delivering your course or your content. And we're going to talk about that next. So keep each lesson focused on one outcome or shift, just one or shift. We don't want the lessons to be all over the place, because then when you keep it focused on one outcome or shift, then your students are going to be like, okay, I get that. I learned that. And then here's the last thing in building your foundation for your course is add simple faith touch bases, right? We're transformational coaches, but we're faith based transformational coaches. So here's what makes your course different. This is where the rubber meets the road. You're not just giving strategy, you're giving it with the word, with power, and with purpose, right? Purpose comes from our creator. And so you can only tap into the purpose when you go back to the author of the creation, right? And so add some simple things. Like for me, I start each coaching meeting out with a prayer, or I send scriptures, or I ask, how can I pray for someone today? This doesn't have to be complicated. Again, keep it simple, but be very intentional. Excuse me, be very intentional about adding that piece to your content. Remember, your audience is not just building knowledge, they are building kingdom. They are building kingdom confidence. So, all right. I hope this has helped you and unlocked something in you today. Because if you're sitting on the content, the ideas, or even the testimony, now's the time for you to really begin to build and package this thing of course building. Not just do it, not just haphazardly, just start going at it, but be intentional and create strategy, then release it and do it in a space of obedience. So, we always have homework. Here it is. So, write your transformational statement. These are the things, our outcomes. These are your outcomes. If transformational statement doesn't resonate with you, then it's simply your outcomes as a result of this, as a result of participating in this particular course. Students will. What's the transformation? So then make sure you outline your 3 to 5 pillars. List 2 to 3 lessons under each pillar, and then add scriptures and reflection questions to anchor each one. I'm not giving you anything extra. I'm asking you to now do the work. This is where the rubber meets the road. You don't need a big team or you don't need any tech right now. You just need a framework, you need obedience, and you need the willingness to start and the discipline to get it done. All right, my friends, listen, if you have any questions or if you need a little bit more time to sit with this, do that. But if you have some questions, go ahead and set up your discovery call so we can have a one-on-one time, and I'm happy to take about 15 minutes to help you unpack this. Until next time, my friends, stay anchored, be blessed, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, friend. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if, my friends, you need assistance turning your calling into content, visibility into income, I invite you to join the Push Circle because you're called to build. But remember, you don't have to build alone. Till next time.